What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. Today we are checking out the iPhone 16 Pro versus the iPhone 13 Pro. I've been rocking the silver iPhone 13 Pro since it came out in 2021, and 16 is my favorite number. I felt it was time to upgrade. This phone has been paid off for a while. As this channel is growing and tech is becoming more a part of our life and our family, I wanted to pick up the iPhone 16 Pro, and I did get my wife the iPhone 16 Pro in the desert color, so I'm excited to give that to her, have better camera functionality, all that kind of stuff that matters to us as parents. And without getting into like the software upgrades and stuff, I just wanted to compare the 13 Pro to the 16 Pro. Maybe you're like me and you've had the 13 for a while and you're thinking about upgrading this year. Let's just kind of look at some things here. So first and foremost, got the contrasting colors. I had, the white, which I liked, but after having it for 3 years, I think ultimately I just love the dark colored iPhones, like the Pros, even the regular like 16s that came out, they have a black color that looks really nice. So I decided to go back to that. I think some of the biggest things here are, it might be kind of hard to tell, the 16 Pro is actually a teensy bit taller than 13 Pro. If you can see that, you can kind of see how much taller the 16 is than the 13. You've obviously have a bigger camera modules and a bigger camera bump, ever so slightly. I don't really know the best way of showing you that. It's just a little bit wider, eats into this space a bit more, and then even comes down a bit more. I think thickness wise, the 16 is a bit thicker. Doing this test, whatever kind of test that is, rubbing my finger across, I can tell it goes down. Thickness wise, unless you're like holding both like I am, you wouldn't really be able to tell. This was the stainless steel with the glass. Titanium is lighter. I wouldn't say it's insanely lighter, which is something I was curious about. It's not like this is weighing down my pocket, so I'm gonna buy the 16 Pro in case you were curious. So there's that. I think the biggest thing, and I mentioned it in my first impressions video, I didn't hear a lot of people when they came out with the design that had basically this design with the dynamic island and the sort of rounded, squared off look. I didn't hear a lot of people talking about how nice this roundedness is. On the Pro here, or on the 13, it is like almost sharp. I mean, it is rounded, but the degree of roundedness it's not super nice to hold. It's kind of like uncomfortable. And you can definitely tell this is way more comfortable to hold. And now that I'm doing this a lot, I can tell it's lighter and it's more comfortable in the hand. I was super curious about this design because of how rounded it is and how it would feel in the hand. So that's something I wanted to point out because I've noticed it even in just like the promo stuff when the 14 came out. So I definitely think this is a little bit more comfortable to hold for those of you who care about such thing and maybe don't use a case. If you're using a case, it doesn't really matter. As you can see here, the Apple logo is slightly bigger. There's that too. The camera modules are a lot bigger. I mean, you have this 5 times telephoto compared to the 3 times on the 13 Pro. 48 megapixel cameras, like, we could get into all that in another video. Something I pointed out in my last video, and I want to do it this video too. Something interesting. So obviously with 13 Pro, you still had a SIM card tray, which you don't have. Everything's eSIM now. So, and then of course you had the mute and silent switch here, silent, whatever the switch is, and now you have the function button. Something interesting that I mentioned in the last video, I want to mention it here too, is the new 16 Pro, as you know, and 16 has this new camera button. Something I wanted to point out is look at the 13 Pro from above. What is that? Well, that's not a camera function. It's apparently for the antennas, but maybe that's just what they said it was. Maybe it was a scratched version of this back on the 13 Pro where they're like, maybe they were playing around with this design and this idea and they were like, not yet, or we'll do that in a few years. So let's just, maybe it got really close and they were like, you know what, we need to call that something else. It's possible that that's truly an antenna area, but I always thought it was weird that it was just like this little pill cutout. I don't know. Some of you probably actually know the answer to this and I'm completely wrong, but who knows, maybe they were actually planning on this switch early on in the development or late in the development of the 13 Pro and then decided to scratch it. Or maybe, you know, a product developer one day was holding this and they were like, you know what if like this was a little like camera button, you know, that feels really comfortable. So anyway, I thought that was interesting, something I noticed. So I think that the final thing to talk about here, at least in this kind of short comparison video, again, like we could get into software if we really wanted to, but I don't think I'm going to do that in this video. Just kind of want to talk about like the feel in the hand, but I still haven't set up the new phone, is the bezel size and the dynamic island. So you obviously have way more room to work with here on, this is so much more yellow because I haven't set this up yet. So it's not using the ambient light sensor. You can definitely see bezel wise. I mean, Ben, if you'll zoom in on the overhead here, I mean, they're so much thicker here. And I mentioned in the last video, or maybe it was this video, maybe it was the last video, the bezels, because of the black phone too, kind of like disappear in a way. It just kind of feels like the phone kind of goes over instead of the screen having a bezel to it. Whereas like something like Stark, where you have this lighter colored side rail, going into the bezel, I don't think that helps the case of how thick they are. It's cool having this. Again, I'm excited to dive into dynamic island. I've never had that. Definitely, I mean, you can see how much bigger the screen is just in general because there's less bezels, but also the phone is a little bit bigger too, which helps with that. And then you get a tiny bit of real estate up here at the very top around that pill-shaped dynamic island. So I think that's gonna do it. You know, I'm really excited for this device. Obviously, I'm looking to make a little bit more content about it. Next video, I am going to be seeing if I can turn the iPhone 16 Pro into a dumb phone for the weekend, so I'm not distracted, not doom scrolling, stuff like that. There's just a huge community and like wave of people interested in like dumbing down our tech because of how addicting it has gotten and how these big tech giants are, you know, we're in the attention economy. They're just trying to keep us on platforms and have us scrolling so they can serve us ads and all these distractions while we're trying to work and spend time with the family. And, you know, this is a really great device for creating memories with your family, taking good photos, videos, but also getting notifications from Instagram and from Snapchat and all, you know, TikTok, everything, like even YouTube. So I'm interested to see if I can use some apps and some finicking with the settings here to turn this into a dumb phone for the weekends and weeknights so I can spend that intentional time with my family. So anyway, that'll be the next video. Thanks so much for watching this video. Let me know if you enjoyed. Let me know if you have the iPhone 13 Pro and you're thinking about upgrading. Let me know if this video has helped in your decision. I hope in some minor way that it has helped. Very excited for the new iPhone 16 Pro. This is gonna be my daily driver for the foreseeable future. I appreciate you all for watching. Let me know if you wanna see more Apple content. On this channel, we talk about tech from sort of an intentional living perspective. So if that sounds cool to you, please consider subscribing. Like this video for more. And you know, remember to subscribe for the next video with the dumb phone situation too, just saying, so you don't miss that. Like this video for more, watch this video next. I think you're gonna love it, and I'll see you all in the next one.